This is Bob Nightingale from USA Today. You're listening to Locked Up Sports.
Well, the Subway Series is over. The 4th of July weekend is over. So now we're on the downside of summer, heading straight downhill to fall, to football and everything. But we still got a lot of baseball to go. The Mets can't sweep the Yankees. Yankees take the last game of the series. They split the season series, 3 games apiece. The Mets have, for the last 8 years, the Mets have gotten at least a series split in against the Yankees. So 8 straight years, the Yankees have not won the Subway Series. They've at least split with the Mets. Well, the Mets have at least split with the Yankees. Mets won a couple of them, including last year where they swept them. But this year they went for the sweep in the Queens version, the Queens part of the Subway Series, and they couldn't get it. And you didn't expect them to get it, right? With the people they were pitching, it was a Max Fried for the Yankees, their ace, going up against a bunch of basically nobodies, no names for the Mets. It was a bullpen game. They threw 5 pitches. Pitchers, 3 of them you never heard of. And, you know, the Yankees, it opened up a 5-0 lead by the 3rd inning, and you kind of figured that it would just go that way and be 8-0 and, you know, a 9-2 win or something like that. But give the Mets credit. To their credit, they fought back. They cut it to 1 run in the 6th inning, and then, of course, the brilliant play by Cody Bellinger out in left field, just picking the ball off of the ground, basically. It was as close as you could possibly get to a no catch or a catch. It was a catch. And then to throw Lindor out, the throw was almost just as good as the catch. And he put them together, and it's as good an outfield play as you're going to see anybody make ever. That was as good a play as you will ever see in the outfield. Just everything combined made it that. The catch, the throw, just everything. And then Lindor didn't slide, but that's not his fault. That's the first base coach's fault. Lindor can't see what's coming because he's facing his back is to the play. And the first base coach didn't tell him to get down. And that changed the game. That saved the Yankees. That's possibly a season-saving play for the Yankees. It's possibly a job-saving play for Aaron Boone. Because if that ball, let's say he misses it, gets by him, it rolls to the wall. 2-run score. Mets have the lead. Braziman comes on and gets the Yankees in the 7th, and then the Mets win the game. That's a devastating loss for the Yankees. Yankees needed that game much more than the Mets did. And it's crazy to even say that, judging from where the Mets came a week ago, being, third, embarrassed in Pittsburgh, being like, okay, we're in big trouble here. Take 2 out of 3 against the Brewers, who were red hot coming in. Then they've already taken 2, the first 2 from the Yankees. If they were, the Yankees came in losing 6 straight, 3 games behind the Blue Jays. After they got swept by the Blue Jays, 4 straight. They lost first place. Then they lose the first 2 to the Mets. They just look bad. They can't hit. Besides, Judge can hit, but besides that, they weren't hitting. They're kicking the ball over the field. The pitching wasn't good. The bullpen stinks. And they were in that bullpen in the 5th inning with a 5-0 lead. They went into that bullpen, and it went pretty much as you thought it would. Mets battled back, and then once that double play kind of, ended the Mets' threat. The bases loaded, nobody out. Senga hits into the double play, too, in the other inning. And the Mets, they squandered a few opportunities. They had an opportunity in the 1st inning. Runner on 3rd, Alonso up, 2 outs, and he couldn't get him in. So, the Mets had some missed opportunities. You almost now are kicking yourself saying, they could have won that game. Even though you knew going in that it was probably, it was a house money game. And if they were to win, it would just be, icing on the cake. And a sweep of the Yankees in the series. So but either way, listen, the Mets had a good homestand. If you're a Mets fan or you're the Mets, you got to feel good about where you are today compared to where you are a week ago today. In the day off, they had a day off last week. This day off is a lot better than last week's day off. Last week's day off, they were coming off of a team meeting, a players-only meeting, followed by a 12-1 loss to the Pirates that completed a sweep and a 30-4. Being outscored 30-4 in a weekend that was just lost. And they were sitting on that last week, Monday at this time. Now today, they're coming off a homestand. They were 4-2 on the homestand. They're a game and a half behind the Phillies. They're right there. The Braves, that we were worried about a week ago, they're creeping up. They're creeping up. The Braves have fallen back out. They have a ton of injuries. So it's kind of back to where it was, before 3 weeks ago, I'd say. Because not before the losing streak. Before the losing streak, the Mets were just rolling through everybody, winning series left and right. They didn't lose at home. They were 6 games up. It's not that anymore. But, you didn't think it was going to be that either. The team has been devastated by injuries. Devastated. Another one yesterday, Marte. And it's a shame because Marte, he was just starting to really hit. He got 3 hits yesterday. And Marte, Marte's getting old. So it's the knee. It's the same knee that it always is. It's the same knee that's been the previous 2 times this season. It's inflammation. They're going to get, testing and MRIs and whatnot. And he'll miss a couple weeks. And he'll come back. And then he'll hurt the knee again at some point down the road because he's old. And that's what happens when you get old. So, listen, the Mets have 6 games left, all right? They got the day off today, 3 in Baltimore, 3 in Kansas City, and they're not out of the woods yet because they really only have 2 pitchers. They got Clay Holmes going tomorrow, Peterson on Wednesday against the Orioles, and then they don't have anybody. Then it's to be determined as your pitcher for the next 4 games, the last 4 games before the All-Star break. And they're telling you that Manaea is going to come back in Kansas City and that Senga is going to come back in Kansas City, and you'll believe it. I'll believe it when I see it. Senga did pitch a game in the minors, pitched well, 3-4 innings, I believe it was. He did 6 hits, no runs. And Senga's going to be okay when he's on the mound. He's always good on the mound. But the question is, can he stay on the mound? And the answer has been no for the last 3 years. That he can't stay on the mound. He gets hurt and then he gets hurt again usually. And he's always out for much longer than they say it's going to be. This one was somewhat close. The pulled hamstring, they said, I think 4 to 6 weeks. It's been about 4 to 6 weeks. I think it's been like 4 or 5 weeks. But, the Mets, they're still dominant at home, right? They were so good at home to start the season. They had a 5-game losing streak recently at home. They just lost a game at home to the Yankees. They lost a game at home to the Brewers in the series before. They're 33-14 at home still. 33-14. That's tied for the best record at home in baseball. They gave up 6 runs or more for the 24th time this season. It seems like a lot to me. 24 or more times in the first, let's see, how many games? In like 90 games? So in like a quarter of the games or a little less than a third of the games, they've given up 6 or more runs. But they outscore that's basically where we thought this team was going to be. And it's obviously ballooned up the last couple of weeks with the way they were losing and everything. They were giving up more runs. And like I said, they've been devastated with injuries. They're expecting Winker back. That's going to help out because they're getting zero from Tyrone Taylor. And I like Tyrone Taylor and I want him to hit because I like his defense and he's a great center fielder and he just gets to every ball out there, but he can't hit. It's like 2 for 41 or something. 2 for his last 41. That's non-competitive. Non-competitive, that's what that is. And the injuries with the pitching staff is even worse because the Mets have used 35 pitchers. 35 pitchers in the first 90-something games. That's not even close. The next team in that list of pitchers used is not even close. The Mets have used 35 and we're not even at the All-Star break. And it's a matter of injuries. Yesterday, they're bringing up 3 out of 5 guys you never heard of yesterday. They did all right. They were just trying to find anybody to get outs yesterday. And they ended up fighting back. The Yankees got 5 runs real quick. And after that Judge home run, which they obviously shouldn't have pitched to Judge there, and he made them pay for it. After that, the Yankees couldn't add on to the total. They got 1 run the rest of the way. And it was Brazoban that gave up the run in the 7th. And I got enough to say about that because, you know what, when your Mets come back and they get 4 runs, they make it a 1-run game, 5-4, heading to the 7th inning, you need to go out there and put a 0 up. You need to. And he just didn't. 3 batters in, there was already a run in. runners on the corners, a run in, and you just, you saw the thing falling apart. But the Mets have thrown 35 pitchers in the first half of this season. That's an outrageous number. And they're going to throw more because they're going to throw Manaea, who hasn't pitched yet, so he's going to be 36. And they're going to pick up a couple on the trade deadline or free agency, and then when they expand the rosters, they're going to throw 50 pitches this year, which is outrageous. Now there are good things with the lineup, like Lindor is hitting again. In the last 5 games, Lindor's hitting .368. He's got 6 RBIs. Alonso is hitting again. Alonso hit a big home run, the home run that kind of put the game out of reach on Saturday, late to make a 3-run blast. McNeil has been so much better. He looks a lot more like the batting champion McNeil than he did the post batting champion McNeil. That home run that he hit the other on what was it? That was the first game where he got that home run and he hit in the 8th inning. A 2-run shot that gave him the lead. That was a huge home run. And just as big a home run that people aren't talking about was Soto in that game in the bottom of the first inning. The Yankees lead things off, get back-to-back home runs to lead off the game. You know the Mets pitching is what it is. Yankees have a 2-0 lead. You haven't even gotten it out yet. They get out of the first inning. It's 2-0. And then right back, Soto hits a 2-run homer to tie the game. And that just calmed everything down. The Mets was still chasing most of that game until the 8th inning when McNeil hit that 2-run homer, and that was a huge home run, a huge win for the Mets, as they took they had just taken 2 of 3 from the Brewers, who were red hot coming in, and then they start this series off with a win, and then they pile on, they win the slugfest on Saturday with just home runs coming from everywhere. Ball was flying out of Citi Field. As far as the Subway Series goes, I'm kind of shifting over to now I like it. This was a good series, a lot of fun. You got the crowds really into it. I think it's better at Citi Field because there's more Yankee fans at Citi Field than there are Mets fans at Yankee Stadium, so it's kind of better with the interactions between the fans. You probably saw it that Volpe's father was getting into it with a fan at Citi Field, telling him to, shut the F up. And the Met fan was going back and forth with him. They're yelling at each other. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how he knew it was Volpe's dad. Maybe he didn't. I guess maybe he didn't, right? But that ended up hitting the internet and going viral. So, but it's a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And the fans love it. The place sells out. The tickets are more expensive. Me and Brett, our plan doesn't have that game for that very reason because they're high demand tickets. We have a plan. We don't get the Yankee game. We don't get David Wright night. Everything else we get. And I don't mind it. I don't mind not going. I've been to a million of the Mets-Yankees games, and generally I'm not a fan of the Subway Series. I'm like, it's not that, whatever. But it was a good game. It was a good series this year. Good series. Yankees took 2 of 3. I wish, they played 7 at least, so somebody could win. It seems a bit unsatisfying that it's 3-3. A split. Okay, nobody won. Mets took 2 of 3 at home. Yankees took 2 of 3 at home, and away you go. And you know what? The Yankees needed that game yesterday. That was a huge game. You cannot lose that game if you're the Yankees. And they found a way. Took some good defense, which is the defense is what got them in this hole. In a lot of aspects anyway. And when McNeil hit that little dribbler up the first baseline to load the bases and the Yankees were kicking it around and they hit the umpire and they threw it against McNeil, you thought, okay, here we go. And then, of course, in the next inning, there's the play by Cody Bellinger, and that was a great play. That was a lifesaver for the Yankees. Lifesaver. So now the Mets got 6 games left. 3-0 in Baltimore, 3 in Kansas City. They're 13 games over 500, which is, you would have signed up for this in the beginning of the season. 13 games over 500, a game and a half out of first place. You would have signed up for it last week. You would have been happy to be here. But the rest earlier in the season, you would have been like, oh no, we're killing it. We're going to run away with it. That was wishful thinking. They weren't going to run away with it ever. I think the Philly, they were going to come back down to earth, especially with all these injuries. How long could they keep it up? They lost most of their starting staff. 35 pitches they pitched. Brazaban was throwing to a 2 ERA for the first 2 months. Now he throws to a 6 or 7. He's just bad every time he comes in. I'll tell you what, Reed Garrett in the first game was just a great performance, a huge performance from Reed Garrett. Something that he was terrible for the last 3 weeks. The last 3 weeks he'd come in and it'd be walks and there'd be runs across the plate like you wouldn't believe it. And then he comes in this weekend with a 1-run lead after McNeil gets the home run and he gets 6 outs with Diaz not available. And it was a huge 6 outs. Huge 6 outs. Stuff looked really good. The ball was moving all over the place. You haven't seen that Reed Garrett really in a long time. And then they needed it in the worst way on that day, and he came out and he gave it to them because they had nobody else to pitch. They were going with the bullpen game the next day. They had nobody else to pitch. It was him, and that was it. No safety net. And he took care of business. 6 outs against the heart of that order. Kept Judge in the on-deck circle. McNeil with the nice play to do that, and the Mets won the first game. The couple more players have been added to the All-Star list. It's the Mets, actually. Diaz going to the All-Star game. Alonso going to the All-Star game, and of course Lindor is a starter. He was voted in. He's the starting shortstop. And then, like I said, Alonso and Diaz are also added. Soto is not on the team. Some people are saying snub. Some people, whatever. It's not a big deal. Either way, it doesn't matter to me. I'd rather him not play. Only bad things can happen if he plays. The other news is that Alonso not in the home run derby this year. He's deciding not to do it. His reasoning was he wants to get the day off. He doesn't want to kind of mentally prepare for it and take the day. It's a whole day thing. You got to get out there. You got to take batting practice. You got to pick your pitcher. You got to get comfortable with him. You got you don't want to embarrass yourself. Then they start getting competitive, and he doesn't want to deal with it. Yeah, that's his choice. I think he just doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to do it. He's won it already. So what does he need to do? He doesn't need to prove anything. He wants the day off. So he's taking the day off, and he's entitled to that. As far as the All-Star game goes, I mean, I'll watch it because there's nothing else on. Those 3 days, there's really nothing on. You got the ESPYs that go on one day. You got the home run derby, and then you got the All-Star game, and then there's a day off, and then back to business. But as far as, is it good? I don't know. I think it's more for kids now. And it's not a big deal either because they see these guys. You can watch any of these games. You can find them on the internet. It used to be like, oh, you get to see all the stars that you don't get to see because they're in the American League and you're in the National League market. It's not like that anymore. You can watch any of these games anytime, anywhere, anytime you want. So it's not really like that. I don't really enjoy any All-Star games, any of them. Basketball is a joke. They're scoring 200 points a piece. The NFL kind of just is the only smart one. They did away with it because that was just, you can't play football. That's not, a competitive game. The NHL is not great either. No checking. It's just not a real game. So how can you really get, worked up about it? And the people that get worked up about Soto getting a snub or Alonso not starting or not hitting, come on, get a life. It's not that serious. If they don't care, why should you care? Alonso clearly doesn't care about the home run derby. He's like, I'd rather have the day off. So if if it was really a big deal to him, he would do it, right? He's already won it. He would go try and win again. They don't care. They just want to go hang out. They'd probably rather not make the team. Some people you get the bonuses, so it's a money thing. But you could just name the All-Star team, pay the guys their bonuses, and not play the game, right? You could still have an All-Star team and not play the game. But they'll never do it because it's a money grab, and they sell the jerseys, and they'll fill the ballpark in Atlanta, and the TV. I think it's probably on Fox. A home run derby, ESPN. Game is on Fox, right? That's usually how they do it. But, some people like it. So some people like it, you watch it. I'm just not one of those people. I'll watch it, but I'm not going to be worked up about it. I'll give you, analyze whether Soto or whether Alonso belongs starting over Freddie Freeman, which he's got better numbers. But, Freddie Freeman's he's a Brave for how long? And he's better than Alonso. Freddie Freeman's better than Alonso. Freddie Freeman's first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm not saying Alonso's not Hall of Famer, but it could go either way. And Freddie Freeman is right now a first ballot Hall of Famer. And plus, he played in Atlanta for 1,000,000 years. So, of course, they voted him in. That's what you want to do. The fans at the game want to see Freddie Freeman. They don't want to see Pete Alonso. So that's what they gave him. So, whatever. And I'm not going to sit here and argue over it. Does Alonso have better numbers? Yeah, he does. But whatever. Come talk to me next week when they get started playing again. But they got 6 games left. They got business to take care of, and they're not out of the woods yet because they really don't have any pitching. They have 2 pitchers. 6 games, 2 pitchers. Maybe 4 if you're going to say Minaya and Senga come back. But like I said, I believe that when I see it. And when they come back, you're going to really get, it's Manaya's first start of the year. Senga, I think you'll get a good start. You'll get a good start because you always get a good start. But Minaya, first start of the year. You don't know what you're going to get. Who knows? So, and you don't want to go 2-4 and just erase this last week, everything you did this last week, because you went 2-4 against the Orioles and the Royals. That you don't want to do. You want to just, go 4-2, go 3-3. Keep it steady, keep it a game out behind the Phillies, and then, you do battle in the second half, and you figure out who's going to win this division. It's a 2-team race. Braves are out. Marlins and Nationals aren't coming anywhere close to these 2 teams. Yankees are in bigger trouble. They're only 7 games over 500. They're 3 games out. The bullpen is a big issue. Clark Schmidt now out for the season. Big issue. Volpe, no good, can't hit. Listen, the Yankees are in trouble. I think the Yankee fans might finally get their wish and get rid of Boone this year. It might cost, they might have to miss the playoffs to get it. I mean, they're calling for his head when he loses the World Series. So forget it if they miss the playoffs. There's a chance that they could miss the playoffs. But there's still a lot of baseball to be played for both these teams. It's going to be a fun second half, right? And now that we've passed July 4th, you're heading downhill. July 4th to me is like the apex of summer. So I hope everybody had a good 4th of July. Day off for the Mets today. Hope you had a good weekend. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Every little bit helps. Hit that QR code in the corner. That'll take you right to our follow page. You can follow us wherever you listen. We're also on YouTube, all the social medias you see up above my head there on the left side of the screen. Get to those, join our Facebook group, and don't forget to leave us a review. From the Brian Gunzel Studios, I'm Bob Walters.